I've had such amazing times. I've met such amazing people all over the world. They come up and they're literally in tears saying, this was the one show that I could sit with my grandparents.
Yes.
And we had such quality time. So it's really the greatest job in the world.
Hello, I'm Ali Dado. This is Separate Bathrooms, and we would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation that we record this podcast on today and give respects to their elders, both past and present. Hi, honey.
Hi, I'm Cam Dado, by the way.
know.
I know you know.
I know.
And I know our listeners know.
Yeah.
But it's always good to introduce
It is.
oneself.
It is. This
Isn't
is
it?
true. Yeah.
We've got a fun episode for you today. It's not a couple, it's not a relationship therapist, but we are talking about love, which is very important in a relationship.
Indeed. And if you are of a certain age, you are going to remember this lady or young lady. She was in the love business from a very young age.
The Love Boat. Soon we'll be making another run.
That's right.
The Love Boat. Promising something for
Everyone. Jill Whelan, also known as Vicky Stubing. Keep going, I love it. Ringing any bells yet? She played Captain Stubing's daughter on the mega hit Love Boat for 6 seasons.
Yeah, the show ran for 10.
Yeah.
Aaron Spelling, my old pal.
Oh, sure.
Met him once. He was the producer. Oh, fantastic. Very, very clever casting. Now that, I was going to say Vicky, but Jill, I knew her as Vicky. Can't wait to meet her. I'm very excited. She's the ambassador for Princess Cruises.
Yeah.
And we're so excited to have her on today.
Indeed, that she's birthed here in Sydney with one of the cruises.
Yeah, and she's christened 4 ships, and she's the godmother for 3. We've got to explain that.
I know. We're so thrilled that she's with us today. Please welcome Jill Whelan into the bathroom.
Welcome, Jill, to the bathroom.
Thank you so much.
Bet you'd never thought you'd do a podcast in a bathroom when you've landed in Sydney. Well, I have to say this. Come aboard. We've been expecting you.
Oh, well, thank you for the lovely welcome. I'm happy to be here.
How many times have you heard that catchphrase thrown back at you?
Not enough.
No. And how many times is this now for you in Sydney? I know you've been here before, but
I've only been here once before, and
okay.
I love Sydney. So I just love Australia, but I've only been to Sydney.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I love the people in this country. Everybody is so lovely and warm, and I appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
But also, when I was here in 1981, I fell in love with the Australian fashion designers.
Oh, yes.
I just thought they were so different and creative, and I've had a love affair with them ever since. Hence, I'm wearing Camilla today.
Yeah.
And Zimmerman and
So
Camilla
good.
and Mark, and just some amazing artistry.
Yeah.
What were those sweaters? Were they Coogee sweaters? Those ones back in the 80s?
yeah.
Yes.
That you never ever seen anything like them, but they were sort of those different colours and ribbed sort of
Bill
things
Cosby on
happening.
The Cosby Show used to wear those as
He
so
did.
yeah,
true.
all the
Yeah.
time. I bought them for my father, and yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. They'll be coming back now. That's it. They're
That's
on their
it.
way back.
Coogee
We're
sweaters.
bringing it back. We're bringing it back.
Like sideburns.
Well, tell
No,
us
let's not bring that back.
the Wolverine ones.
Surely they'll take the place of mullets.
Okay, well, I would switch that if that was my choice.
Okay, yeah, sideburns over mullets.
I know. When are we done with the mullets? They're
Never.
still, I know, they're here to stay for a bit. I
Because
think.
there's
know.
always, what is it? Business in the front, party in the back.
Party in the back, yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
We're on.
Yeah. Tell us why you actually are here, because it is for a special reason.
Oh, I am here because Princess Cruises and Australia are celebrating the love aboard Princess Cruises. And we have Princess Perfect weddings and Princess Perfect proposals and Princess Perfect vow renewals. And so Princess is really the ship that was, the Love Boat was based off
Yes.
Princess Cruises. So we're the only cruise line that can be associated with the Love Boat. And they've really sort of embraced that. And we do the most beautiful weddings and proposals and renewals. In fact, we have the record, Guinness World Record, for doing the most vow renewals at sea.
Really?
And Gavin McLeod and I performed that ceremony
Did
together.
you have to get a license to do that, or is it just a bit of fun?
Well, for vow renewals, you don't have
That's
to.
right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
I actually do have a license to marry because I married my stepson and his wife.
Right on.
And so that was fun. So I could, if anybody wanted me to. I sent my dollar away on the computer.
Yeah.
And got my
Yeah, it is quite
license.
easy to get over
Because
there,
you're going
isn't
to get
it?
on the
Yeah,
back
yeah,
of a
yeah.
Wheaties box. Let's just call it for what it is.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that.
Yeah, so it's really fun, and they do a beautiful job. I mean, the thing about having a wedding on a ship, and I have had a wedding on the ship before.
Yeah, right.
And the great thing about it is you don't have to worry that the flowers aren't going to come or the caterer's going to forget or your guests are going to be late because of traffic.
Yeah.
And in my situation, I had a child getting into this marriage, and my husband had a child getting into that marriage. And it was such a lovely thing to include them. Not only are you going to show up at the wedding, but we're not going to leave you and go off on a honeymoon.
Yeah.
We're bringing you with us and the rest of the family.
Yeah.
And as you guys know, you're married. If you remember your wedding, you don't get to talk to anybody because there's so many people and
Yeah.
you don't eat and all
Yeah.
that stuff. But if you do it on a ship, you've got 7 days at least to be with your friends
Right.
and travel. And it's really cool.
And all that eating, all that
I
wonderful
know.
food.
You just got to take the stairs instead of the lift.
Yeah.
I did a cruise once. I spent probably 4 days just walking around the top of the deck.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
saw some amazing things out at sea,
Yes.
incredible things. But I just wanted to keep moving because the food that we were eating was so good
Yes.
and there was so much of it.
Yes. It's so true. There's always food, unfortunately, if you want.
It's
It's not a place to lose weight,
Good
perhaps.
food and
but-
Well, you
entertainment.
can. I mean, I have done because
Yeah.
when I first started cruising, I was like, oh my God, there's all this food.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat everything. And then after a while, you get a little jaded and you go, okay, we can't do this. Let me have the vegetarian this
Right.
and let me get on the treadmill or the rower. And
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. It's
Yeah.
2:00 in the morning. It must be pizza
That's-
time.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's the
8
best.
o'clock. Ice cream from the ice cream place. Yeah. Can we go back and talk about your time on the Love Boat on
Sure.
the TV show?
Sure.
How young were you when you got that part?
I think I was 11 when I started,
Wow.
but I had done a show with Aaron Spelling before that, a little pilot. And so I had guested on the Love Boat when I was about 10 as the character
So
of
you share
Vicky.
that with like Tom Hanks and all these other
Oh yeah, Tom and I
movie
were so
stars?
tight. Although I did see him at an award show when I was an adult, and he could not have been more lovely. And I'm like,
Aw.
oh hi Tom.
That's so nice to hear.
Can I say, because I used to watch it, The Love Boat was like must-see TV back in the day. I think I was in about 5th or 6th grade at
It
school.
was huge
It was-
in Australia.
yeah.
Everyone watched The Love Boat.
Yeah, and it ran for 10 years, and we all knew the songs, the song rather. If someone wanted to be Gopher or Isaac, or, there was Julie and Steubing and Doc, all these great characters. I mean, it must have been huge for you as a young girl to be on an iconic show. 50 million viewers were tuning into that show. That doesn't happen these days.
No, I mean there's streaming and everything else,
Yeah.
so the audiences are really divided now. But this was the blessing, is that I was a kid. So obviously I knew the show. Obviously I watched the show. But as a kid, you don't have that perspective.
Yeah.
So you don't understand that you're coming into this huge situation. So for me, it was just having fun. And I always tell this other story to go along so you can kind of get the perspective for me, is that years later, after Love Boat was over and I had my first child, all we ever did, as all parents do, is watch Disney movies with your kids, Peter Pan, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang,
Yeah.
Mary Poppins. So I got to do Diagnosis Murder with Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, wow.
And it's the first time that I was so starstruck because I was now seeing him through the eyes of my child
Yeah.
and all of those kind of memories. I tripped over him at one point. I flubbed up my lines, which I never do. And I was an idiot. And I thought, this poor man must think, who is this actress that we've hired. He was lovely, but
Yeah.
I was, I mean, clammy and shaking because it meant something to my child. So
Sure.
I am so glad I didn't have that perspective when I was younger, because it would have affected the work, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. You hold a really special place, I think, for so many people of, like our age group, because we did watch it so much, and you were really the only kid on the boat
Yes.
too,
Yeah.
weren't you?
Yes.
So everyone else was adults. Was that okay for you as a young child on the show? Did they treat you kindly, and was it a good atmosphere for you?
They were amazing.
Oh, good.
The cast and I are still so close.
Yeah.
When Gavin passed away 2 years ago, I was able to help eulogize him. And I was the one member from the cast that was asked to do that.
Nice.
So we were extremely good. I'm actually doing a play with Ted Lange and Fred Grandy. Ted played Isaac and Fred played Gopher. We're doing a play together in March in Michigan.
Great.
And so we're very close. Lauren Tweez, who played Julie, just came to stay at my house before Thanksgiving, and we just sat for the weekend and cooked and gossiped and
Yeah.
reminisced. So the cast and I were really close. Gavin was really like a father. Just such a dear human being. And so I was very lucky with that. I mean, there was one producer who was really tough, but I have a great mom, and she was very protective.
Nice.
And at this soundstage next to us, they were shooting a show called Family. So Christy McNichol was there.
Yeah, I
and
remember that show. Dick Van Patten was
yeah.
the dad
Oh
on
wait, no, that was
wasn't
8 is Enough.
he? Oh,
But
okay.
Family was with Matthew Broderick's father.
Right.
And oh my goodness, I'm losing the cast, but it was Christy McNichol and Quinn Cummings. I
Right.
don't know if you remember her. She was in the movie The Goodbye Girl many
Sure,
years
yep,
ago.
yep.
So they were all there, and my mom was. The thing about I'm very lucky that I had the mom that I did, because she really never got swept away in the Hollywood, the power, the money, all of that stuff. She never forgot that her first job was to be my parent.
Yeah.
So when I was finished on the set, if I had maybe one scene in the morning, she would bring me right straight to school, to my regular school, and I would just have that experience. I did summer school productions when we were on hiatus. So I was very, very lucky.
Good on
I'm
you.
still afraid of her.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron Spelling was quite a personality, wasn't he?
Yes, he
he
was
must have been good
so
for
lovely.
you. Yeah.
Such an incredible human being. This, my favorite Aaron Spelling story is that for many, I mean, at Christmas, everybody, exchange gifts. What do you give Aaron Spelling? He has everything.
Yeah.
So,
Including a pinball machine with his face.
and a bowling alley.
And bowling alley, yeah.
And a wrapping room and all of those things.
Yeah.
So my mom, to her credit, said, well, the best thing to do is a homemade gift.
Yep.
Yeah.
So she would sew these Christmas stockings that were as tall as me, and we would fill them with baked goods that we made, and we would bring them to him every Christmas. And he could not have been, he was just I loved him so much. And I read his autobiography after he had passed, and he tells a story about how dirt poor his family was in Texas. And sometimes they didn't have enough money to eat, and they lived in this tiny apartment above a bakery. And so the owner of the bakery would feel badly for them. So at night, when the bakery closed, they would bring all the baked goods up to make sure that they could eat. So he hated sweets from bakeries because it reminded him of that time. And he never said anything. And all we gave him was baked goods for 10 years. Baked goods. And he was just gracious and lovely. And then I read the autobiography. I called my mom. Mom, I'm horrified.
I've been triggering this man.
Yes.
His past every year for 10 years.
That's right. So, but that's my favorite because he never forgot
Yeah.
where he came from
Yeah.
in a good way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
And was
sure.
humble and lovely and unassuming all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure to work with him as well.
On
yeah,
what?
I did a show called Models Inc.
Oh, yes.
That was my first show
Oh, my gosh.
in LA, in Hollywood. And I met him, and I was in an audition with him, and he walked right up to me after I'd finished. I thought, oh, he's coming up to me, and he was he was a bit hunched over at
Yes.
that point, and I was trying to not be as tall because I knew that I was a head and shoulder above everybody else. And he walked up to me and he got right in my face and he went, "You hit me on the nose, kid. You hit me on the nose." Like
That is so-
And I never forgot that because he was like, "You hit me on the nose."
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, good."
With his pipe.
I guess, yeah, with his pipe in
Yes,
his hand.
yes.
And I was like, "Well, okay, I hit Aaron Spelling on the nose." Don't remember when I did that, but anyway, I got the gig. So, but he was such a lovely man. And then
How lucky for you that was your first boss, because
yeah.
he was a good one.
Which is kind of like the trickle-down effect, I think. What you're talking about is quite rare in a cast to still be hanging out at this point after so many years and you were that close. But I think
Yeah.
he ran a very tight ship he was inclusive and embracive of.
He did.
He loved his actors, didn't he?
He really did. And also, I want to give Gavin McLeod credit because, Gavin and Bernie Kopel, who was on Get Smart before,
Yeah.
and Gavin was McKeel's
He
Navy.
was
and-
Siegfried.
Yes. We don't shush here. Not that I haven't heard that a million times from him. But Gavin kind of set the tone with Bernie because they were the seasoned actors. It was Lauren Tweed's first job. Ted had just come off a series called That's My Mama. It was one of Fred's first gigs and so on, and obviously mine. But he sat the cast down. This is before I was on the show. And he did set the tone because he sat them down and said, "Listen, you need to understand how rare it is that you're a working actor. You need to understand and have the grace as you go through your day. I'm not the star of this show. None of us are. The star of the show are the guest stars and the ship.
Wow.
And this is our home. So when people come in, you need to treat them like they're guests in your home." And that's the tone that he set. And that was it. And having worked on other shows, it's like going to the first day of school. Sometimes you don't know anybody. You don't know the private jokes and
Yep.
everybody's in a clique and you're sort of this person sort of sitting there. We didn't allow that to happen on our show. We always walked up to people the first time they were, "Hi, I'm Jill. Thank you so much for being here. We're excited to have you." And it really helped kind of create a familiarity that gave the other actors the opportunity to feel loose enough to not be self-conscious and to do their work.
Yeah.
That's really smart and
Yeah.
really kind
Very
as well.
Gavin was the kindest human being
Oh, that's
in
so
the world.
lovely.
Kind of
Yeah.
came through the screen, didn't it?
It did actually.
It just
It
came
did,
through. It's just
yeah.
this
Yeah.
magnanimous, grace.
He was the leader
person.
on the show.
Yeah.
You felt that
Yeah.
from him.
And it was so cute because before he did Love Boat and Mary Tyler Moore, he always played a heavy, like a bad guy.
I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so just to see now, I laugh when I see him playing those parts because it's like that's not him.
Yeah.
Is it still in syndication, The Love Boat?
Yes.
It's still out there, isn't it?
Still
Yeah.
in 97 countries.
Holy cow.
And a few princess ships as well, I imagine.
Yes,
Oh, do they ever show it on
Oh,
the
they have
Princess
to.
Cruises?
Come on.
they do.
That
There's
would
a
be
whole
so
channel.
cool. Yeah.
And my husband had never seen the show because we're 10 years apart and he was playing football. He was
Yeah.
not watching Love Boat on Saturday nights, which
Right.
is where the night it was on in America. And so we had sailed on a ship with our friends and they were in their cabin and they said, "Oh my God, we're watching Jill's first episode. You have to turn it on." And I hadn't seen it since I did it.
wow.
So we turned it on, and my husband and we were getting ready for dinner. We didn't even sit down. We just sat there standing, watching it, holding hands. And when I look at Gavin and say, "Are you my father?" and he says, "Yes," my husband and I are just bawling, standing there watching. And I looked at him, I said, "This is really weird that I'm crying watching myself at work. Is this narcissistic?" I don't know.
The feelings are the feelings, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I have to say, sitting here across from you, you're a woman now and you're a young girl in that thing, but I can still see your face. I mean, you're still there. It's
Yeah.
I mean, that young, you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's
you're
the
still
Botox.
recognizable. Oh, well. Okay. Maybe I should get some.
No, you guys look fabulous.
It's the greatest product placement of all time.
Right.
Right? The Love Boat Princess
yeah.
Cruises.
Oh, and having
Oh.
Jill be an ambassador?
Absolutely. I mean, the
It's
whole
so
thing
smart.
is so smart.
Yeah.
how is it now, like traveling and doing this work?
Well, first of all, when I was 11 years old, I would have never imagined that I would be 57 years old and still just cruising for Princess. But I've had such amazing times. I've met such amazing people all over the world because I've been lucky enough to do this with Princess.
Yeah.
And it's, if I were on a soap opera or something where I played a bad character and people would come up and say, "Oh, I hated you in that show," kind of thing. But that's not the reaction that we get. People, because we were a part of their childhood,
Yeah.
like I talk about with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Dick Van Dyke, they come up and they're literally in tears saying, "This was the one show that I could sit with my grandparents
Yes.
and we could both get something out of it because they would be in love with the older stars and I would be in love with the younger stars. And we sat on the couch together and had such quality time." So it's really to be able to continue that with Princess and revisit that with the people that are now adults. It's the greatest job in the world.
Yeah. Yep. And it's really come back since the pandemic, hasn't? Cruising has had an uptick again. We're back on the ocean again. And
Yes.
do you think people are falling in love with it all over again?
I think so. I think, it's been a time since the show was on. And so, now that the pandemic is over, everybody has wanderlust.
Yes, that's right.
And, it's just, cruising is just such a great way to travel, whether you're a couple or whether you have kids, especially with kids, because you unpack once.
Yeah, right.
You don't have to get your kids' gear and pack it and get in the car and get on another plane and everybody's whining and crying. And so and you can keep them all contained in one area.
Yeah.
So I think people love that.
Yeah.
And it's a romantic way to travel. It seems so bougie and yet it's so approachable.
Yeah.
Is there a favorite journey that you like as far as the cruising that you've done? What's your favorite trip that you like to do?
And I'm not just saying this, but besides Australia, because that was we got to spend 3 weeks here. So
Oh, what a bummer.
I know,
Terrible
right?
thing for you to do.
I know.
Have you seen other parts? Have
No,
you been-
I've only seen Sydney. So I keep weaseling my way back in Princess saying, "Listen, I think we should probably do another Australia cruise and
Yeah.
do Perth and Melbourne
Absolutely.
and Melbourne." And but besides that, I think the Mediterranean for me
Yeah.
it's special because it's the first cruise that I took both my boys on as a single mom.
Right.
So my son at the time, my oldest, was in college. So he was in a fraternity. I don't know if you have fraternities.
No.
Yeah, okay.
So much. Not like what
Yeah.
you were talking about.
Okay,
in
so
American
people
college
don't know what
system.
a fraternity is. It's sort of like little clubs, and they're Greek-based. So every fraternity has a Greek name,
Yeah.
Alpha Phi or
Yeah.
Sigma Chi or whatever.
We are aware of Animal House and all those
Oh, yes.
wonderful American
Yes.
college movies.
That's such a classic. But when we went to Greece and my son saw all the Greek letters, 18-year-old boys are very jaded. Nothing affects them. I actually saw him get a tear in his eye as he was looking at where all of that came from. So I think for me, the Med has a very special place in my heart because they got to experience it. And the great thing is it's, 7 days or 14 days and it's a different port each day. So we got, I think, 11 countries out of the 14 days that we were there. And it's a veritable poo-poo platter of Europe so that my kids, it was basically, here's Europe and whatever you like. Now you know what you have an affinity towards and you can go back there.
Yeah.
And he did, once he graduated from college, he did a backpack trip through Europe and went back to some of those places, Barcelona and so on and so forth. And so that's probably my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I'm still stuck on poo-poo platter.
I knew you were going to get stuck on that.
Because normally I'd say smorgasbord. But poo-poo platter?
I've heard of a poo-
The way you said it, it made it sound so good.
I've heard
know.
of a poo-poo platter before, though. Have
Is
you
it
not have-
P-O-U? How do you spell poo-poo platter?
I think it's P-U-P-U, but
Yes.
There you go.
it is
All
an
right.
unfortunate
Okay. All right.
phrase.
Well, see,
I'm still
my
stuck on the
husband-
Aperol Spritz from Capri.
Cameron does like toilet humour, so I knew that was going to catch him.
Well, I do too. So, 4 boys between my husband and I. So, yeah.
yes,
Yeah, you're gonna
that's
get 'em all.
right. You've had a career that's been a lot about love, the Love Boat, and now you are, you're with Princess Cruises, and that's hugely about love. What would you? Is there anything that you would share about love that you have learned through your career and through your time with your work?
I think, well, having been married more than once, I think you learn a few things that you don't want to do again.
Yeah.
And I think the first, and it's not to name drop, but Linda Evans said this to me, actually when she did our show, and we were in Ephesus, Turkey, and we were waiting to work, sitting there in the sun, and she said, I want to give you a piece of advice. Never settle. And, I don't know, I'm 13. Okay.
Yeah.
But as a grown woman, having lived life as we all have, that was such a valuable lesson about love.
Yeah.
You need to wait for the one that suits you the most. You can't think you're going to marry somebody and fix them.
Yep.
My husband, there's not a hair I would change on his head, not a smidgen of anything. And to find that kind of love, it's amazing. And so you have to, you can't settle. You have to have a super foundation, just like a building. And you also have the mutual respect to understand who that person, and I respect the heck out of my husband. I like him. I also love him, but that is so important, and not forgetting the things that you do for strangers, like saying please or thank you so much, and giving that same appreciation to the person that means the most to you. But sometimes we forget to do that. And it's like when our kids yell at us and things like that, they do it because we're comfortable to them, and they take us for granted in that way because the love is there and they know it.
Yeah.
So I think what I've noticed in my relationship with my husband the most is that the small things that we do, bringing that cup of coffee and me making sure I say thank you, or him saying thank you. So things like that.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah.
Great place to wrap it up.
Okay.
I'm going to say it's the Love Boat. Can you find that on a 10-day cruise?
Love, you mean?
Can you? Because that's a great definition for a long termer, and I'm going, okay, well, maybe you can dip your toe in on a 10-day cruise when
You could meet
when you
someone.
meet a
Well,
you
stranger
can.
on
Yeah,
there.
of course.
My husband and I were on a blind date, and we've been together ever since that blind date. So
Amazing.
it's in the cards.
Amazing.
So good.
Jill Whelan, thank you so much for coming in. It's been wonderful having you in here.
Thank you guys so much. What a pleasure. You guys are just lovely.
Oh, thank
now
you.
I don't want to leave.
Well, enjoy the rest of your time in Sydney,
Yeah.
and I guess you'll be christening more boats as they make them.
Well, at least hopefully I'll be hosting the naming ceremony. I'm the godmother of 3 ships.
Yes.
What does well, I did read that. What does that mean?
Well, I always joke and say I'm responsible for their religious upbringing.
I was going to
Yeah,
say,
okay.
But I mean, basically, in ship lore, the ship must be christened.
And that's still with a bottle of champagne or
Yes.
something. Yep.
And it must be named by a woman.
Oh.
That's the good luck. So, and then there's also a madrina who blesses the crew. So basically that's kind of it. It's just that's ship lore,
Yeah.
So you're looking after the spiritual welfare of each of
Yes.
those 3 ships.
Yeah,
It's a
according to
daunting task.
According to
Yes.
the law, the ships. I love
Well,
that.
I hope that you get a chance to sail out of our beautiful harbour with an Aperol Spritz or a lovely Prosecco
and a poo-poo platter.
and a poo-poo platter.
I would love to, because I have done, but I was a child.
yes.
So I'd like
Yeah.
to do it as an adult and really get the full experience.
Is your husband
it
with
is
you?
Great.
No,
that's a
I wish
bummer.
he was. We're going to come back because he
Yeah.
has not been to Australia.
Oh,
and
he
I've
has
been
to come.
I've been since I met him. I've been saying we have to go to Australia. We
Yeah.
have to go to Australia. It's so beautiful. So
Yeah.
When you bring him,
yes,
you'll have to come back and visit us.
Oh,
both
we'd
of
love
you.
to.
We'll talk to both
Yes.
of you.
we'd
Yes.
love to. You'd love him. He's a great guy. He's
Now,
fun.
I want to hear
Oh,
more
thank
about
you
his
so
football
much.
career. And well, I know you said second string before when we were off air, but
And he'll
but-
roll his eyes and go, "Oh my God, why'd you tell him that?"
You're proud of him.
I am.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank
you.
you so
Thanks so
much.
much, Jill. She was like a little love fairy, you know. She like sprinkled her love magic in here, and now she's poof, gone off.
She's poo-poo.
She's onto the sea, onto the seas. Away she goes.
Princess, they're really lucky.
Yeah,
Well, they're smart.
but
Having her on.
I know. I
having
wonder
her be the
who was the
ambassador.
genius that went, let's get Jill Whelan from the Love Boat, the original Princess Cruise show,
Yeah.
and put her now onto.
And like
In
I
the
said, the
World.
essence of her is she's still like that girl, like her character.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, there was no acting required
So
back in the day
lovely.
for her, and it's great to know that she's still acting.
And you could feel that was just like the tip of the iceberg from all the stories she must have from
Oh yeah.
on the show, who she's met, you know, Hollywood living, all of that. It's
Yeah.
like she'd be a great dinner party guest.
Well, this is why I thought, this is why I said, bring your hubby back and come back, and let's do this again.
Yeah, sure,
Let's go
sure.
let's go a little deeper next time.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. We'll catch you on the next
Thanks.
Separate Bathroom.
Thanks for listening.